A rampaging, drug-fueled black bear goes on a killing spree in our movie today. It's Gene and Roger Talk Movies. We're talking Cocaine Bear. This is your spoiler warning, currently playing at the theater.
Yeah, yeah.
Gene, initial thoughts on Cocaine Bear?
Yeah, so go see the movie before you listen to us. But yeah, this movie, boy, parts of this movie, I'm just like in love with this movie. Just this the greatest thing I've ever seen. But then parts of the movie are just like, what in the world are you doing? And when I say that, I mean that to the directors and the producers. It's just like the movie's called Cocaine Bear. We know it's kind of silly. It's called Cocaine Bear. Loosely based off a true story. Of course we all know the story, but but I go into the movie theater and dude, I want to see a bear and I want to see high body count. This is what the movie is about. But the movie wants to tell a story, or it gets off track, and so it's like the movie kind of reminds me of some other movies I watched. It's like that there were great parts of it, but then they just kind of lost their way, and the kind of overall left kind of like not a great experience. So it's almost there, but they've just yeah.
So
that's how I describe it.
The thing I really liked about it at the beginning, during the credit sequence, I don't know if you caught this or not, Gene, but Mark Mothersbaugh does the score in this. And I'm like, oh man, if you want to set your movie in the 80s without having to spend a lot of money on costumes and all this other 80s related stuff, yeah, have Mark Mothersbaugh do your score, because he, of course, is the founding member of Devo. And so a lot of that synth stuff in the score was just reminding me of the 80s right there. And so
they're wearing 80s costumes. Mm-hmm. The mom is wearing a tracksuit straight out of the 80s. Yeah, she came from her dance or something, aerobics class or something. But yeah,
when I saw that, I was immediately like, okay, I'm probably gonna be liking this movie a little bit. And yeah, you're right. This movie also reminds me of films like Day of the Animals or even Grizzly or Claws, where you have to set up this other storylines going on to then divulge in getting everybody killed and all this. But I was okay with this particular ride because when the bear is on screen, it is legitimately the greatest thing you've ever seen.
Yeah, it's
because
great.
They have the bear doing completely off-the-wall, awesome
very
things.
unbear-like things. Yeah. But he's on cocaine. So there you go. So any behavior is immediately within the realm of possibility because he's high on cocaine. And it's not just sniffing it just a little bit. No, he's eating whole bricks. So he has got almost superhuman strength. He's got I said superhuman.
Superhuman is
no. Be like super bear. Yeah. Super bear strength. Super bear anger. Yeah.
Well, and so, I love how they played with that. And you're right. There should have been a lot more of that. There is a great sequence where this one poor park ranger probably gets it the worst out of everybody because she gets attacked once and then she retreats to this cabin. She gets kind of, these criminal guys are in this cabin as well. But the thing I just loved about that whole ambulance scene is these ambulance guys show up, they load her into the ambulance, they're driving away, but the bear has now gotten more cocaine. And so there's this scene where he's going after the cocaine, which then superpowers him. And so he's chasing down this ambulance, which is speeding.
Yeah, the bear is running down an ambulance. An ambulance has a motor. It goes fast. But the bear's catching it.
Yeah, and then there's the great Matrix leap where the bear leaps and goes into the back of the truck.
Of course, the bear vanquishes all the ambulance drivers.
Yeah, it's just...
it's great.
When it decides to go completely over the top with the bear, which is every scene the bear's in, it is a great roller coaster ride of a film.
That brings me. That's a great. I think, like an example of what I'm talking about. Like the woman, the park ranger is Margot Martindale. She's appears in a lot of movies. So she kind of is like a little typecast. She seems like she plays the modern Karen character, like Karens, we all know about them. And so she plays this role in this movie. And so she has this like love interest, and we spent some time with her, and they want to go on a hike, and she has this man. But while she was in the movie and her parts are playing and we're focused on her, in my mind, I'm just thinking, what are we doing here? Where's the bear in all this? It's like, and as we're longer going with this character and searching for this lost kid, it's just like, it's pulling us further away from the bear. And that's where I really don't want to be. And it just reminds me of like, I was talking to Roger about this earlier. It's like some movies that they're just, parts of it are just beyond great. Like it made me think of David Bowie, Catherine Deneuve's vampire movie called The Hunger. It's going back a little bit, but like the first 20 minutes of that movie are like the best thing ever. But then other parts of it are really good too, but it just kind of loses its way, so to speak, and it can't find a coherent whole. And like talking about the Tron movies, maybe again, parts of it are just beyond great. But then as a whole package, it just kind of meanders and it loses its way a little bit. And parts of it are just downright just silly. I mean, but silly is good for Cocaine Bear, but I want silly with the bear. Mm-hmm. And some of my favorite parts, is where like, I mean, I'm just going to jump to the end and talk about my favorite parts. But there's this part where this drug dealer they're in a cave, and he's trying to escape from the mama bear just by climbing up the mountain. But you can't climb away from the mama bear. They're all on cocaine. It's going to get you. And so the mama bear slashes his stomach and opens up his intestines. And so he collapses on the ground. He's moaning, and his intestines are spilling out. But then the baby bears, they're two cubs.
So who are also wiped out on cocaine.
Their faces are all white. So the two baby bears, cubs, they come up, and they're so cute. And they come up and they start eating the guy's intestines while he's watching. Just great. I mean, what a horrible thing, right? But in terms of a movie, Cocaine Bear, it's just great. It's just like, what I'm saying is more of that. And the ambulance scene is just, even that is just like the bear's chases down the ambulance. All the people in the ambulance are just wiped out. But then the ambulance crashes into a tree, and the ambulance driver, she's ejected through the windshield, and she lands on the ground, and she dies. But in a way, that part of the ambulance driver dying, it kind of wasn't really that funny. It's just like it wasn't involved in the humor of the bear.
Right.
And so it's just kind of like little things like that, but they kind of add up, and it kind of distracts from the overall experience. Yeah.
Well, and the director, Elizabeth Banks, did, I think, have way too many characters that she wanted us to maybe know more about than we really needed to know about.
We don't need to know about any of them.
I didn't need to know about the drug dealer's little lackey who maybe didn't want to be in the business anymore, and the lackey's little friend whose wife had died, and all this stuff.
And why is there even a cop in there? And like we find out that the cop's dog died, and so he has a new dog. We're just getting adjusted to the new dog, and somehow he ends up on top of this pagoda. Right. I was he was on the pagoda, and I was just hoping that somehow the bear would see him, and the bear would jump up there. Just, of course, it's high on cocaine. The bear would just jump up there. It's like 10 feet jump and just get this guy.
That, yeah.
But no, he gets shot, and then he kind of just dies, which kind of again is not really that funny.
Right. It was a weird tone with some of this stuff where you didn't feel confident enough to just go all in on. My movie's called Cocaine Bear, right? And it's like you didn't need any sort of character build-up because they're all caricatures anyway, right?
Right. You don't need...
Ray Liotta's in this, in basically his last movie role, playing this drug kingpin guy who's evil. Okay, that's the extent of his character development. I don't need to know about the fact that he has mistreated his son and didn't have time for the family and all this garbage.
Right. Or that his son is worthless, and that he is now forced to watch his grandson and that he's in a bowling alley, and
Right.
you know, he's a terrible grandfather. Yeah, well, I don't need to know that, and I don't want to know that. Just give me more and more of the bear. Like at the beginning, the bear attacks the Scandinavian hiker couple. You know, he of course he wipes out the female, tears her leg off, and there's the leg right there. You know, and so, but the bear doesn't get the guy. So I was like, why didn't the bear get the guy? I kind of didn't understand that. But he appears later in the movie. You know, it's this hopeless shell of a man.
Right.
But, you know, and then the bear didn't get the little girl, which is kind of interesting to me.
Well, and I was thinking about that because why didn't he kill the little girl? And then when he realized that it's not a male bear, it's a female bear who has cubs. And where did she take that girl? She took that girl back to her
the
den,
cave where
right?
the cave where the cubs were.
So it was like, no, you're not a threat or whatever. So I'm going to just have you here in the den. And the den scene is great because the younger other boy and the mother eventually discover the den, and I love that line where you see the two cubs that are just wallowing around in this massive bag filled with cocaine, and the kid's like, I thought they were polar bears for a second because they were just covered in this coke, you know, and it's again just those over the top sequences with the bear are great. And you're really just waiting for those scenes to come, and you have to sit through stuff that really doesn't matter. And at the end of the movie, it truly doesn't matter because a lot of these characters get killed.
They get killed. Well, just kill them right away. So in a way, you could have had more cannon fodder, you know. But another part of this movie that I really liked was this scene, and I think Roger was alluding to it, inside the ranger cabin, because there's this the three little juvenile gangster hoodlums. You know, they've lost their way for sure. But, you know, the bear gets into the cabin and they try to hide in the cabin. But there's a sequence where I think the ambulance drivers, right? They come and they open up a door, and then all of a sudden there's just blood everywhere. And the guy, he knocks over this metal pail, and the guy's head is in the pail.
Yeah.
And it's just like, and then all of a sudden out of the darkness, this fearsome bear appears with these piercing eyes, and the eyes and the expression on the bear's face just say, you're next.
Yep.
Yeah. And you're next, like right now. You know, but it just makes you think, why is the guy's head in a pail?
It's Cocaine Bear, man.
Yeah, I know. It's just like, but more, again, you reiterate, more of that kind of stuff.
Yeah, and I mean, to the credit of the film, though, it went for the hard R rating. I mean, it is extremely graphically violent, but it's a level of graphic violence that is not repellent. So you have movies like, and I mentioned this a few episodes back, Peter Jackson's Dead Alive, also known as Brain Dead, which, huge graphic violent movie, but it's done in this same kind of Cocaine Bear tone where it's not designed to repel you. It's so over the top that it's you're able to kind of get into that comedic value of it. Like, why is his head in the bucket? And you've got other movies, like Last House on the Left, for example, where that gore is designed to repel you, and this is not it. So even if you're cautious about seeing movies with a lot of gore, this is cartoon kind of gore.
Right. It's not like Hostel or Saw.
Right, exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's a whole nother level.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I did appreciate, because a movie like this, I could have easily see them going, no, we want to do PG-13 to get the biggest audience possible, and you would have really made this movie terrible.
It would have been awful.
Yeah.
And some things you just can't compromise on. If you're going to have a horror movie like Cocaine Bear, well, the bear is going to get people. And so, you got to go there.
Yeah. And I just loved the way they kind of discover that if you use cocaine against the bear, you can get away from him. And so there's the great sequence where the young boy is up a tree and one of the forest ranger people is up on the other tree, but the forest ranger in the other tree had rolled through some of the cocaine that was just spread around on the forest floor there.
Place.
So the bear is going up this tree to get this kid, which is a great scene. They filmed this really well. But then the bear smells that there's cocaine on the other guy.
On the other guy in the other tree.
Yeah, and so he leaves the kid alone and goes up there and just savages that guy. And I also loved that scene where he is savaging that guy, and it's from the top, and the gore is all coming down. But then the leg.
Oh yeah, there's dripping.
Yeah, and his leg comes off though, and then the bear goes down, and there's cocaine residue all over his leg, and then he's snorting it off his severed leg. Which I just loved that.
Yeah, that's good stuff. Yeah.
And that's the level of stuff we're dealing with here with this movie. So I was very pleased that, yes, your movie's called Cocaine Bear, and every time the bear is on the screen, it lives up to that title in spades.
In spades, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, and just just again, going back to Margot Martindale, again, the character names that they were in the movie is just completely irrelevant. It's just, no one's going to remember their character names. It just doesn't matter. Because the movie's all about the bear.
Yep.
But again, in her character, that Karen character, she has a gun. But I just thought that whole part with her gun and trying to shoot the gun is just like, I don't know. It's just kind of disturbing in a way, but not disturbing within the context of the movie. It's like it brought a seriousness to the movie that it shouldn't have had. It's Cocaine Bear. It should be light in that way. We know that it's not real. Clearly, it's complete fantasy, but we're just reveling in just that somebody had a great idea and we're just going along for the ride with it. And then her and the gun, just again, it's another example of just maybe they caught lightning in a bottle, but not for the whole movie. Right. And again, I don't know Elizabeth Banks' number. I can't just call her, but just to see the motivations or why it turned out that way. It'd be interesting maybe to get further insight into this movie. Why maybe they included those parts. I don't know.
Well, I don't know. I just think I legitimately believe they were just too afraid to go all the way.
All the way.
Right? And I look at a film there was a remake of this film, but I'm talking the original Gone in 60 Seconds movie from like 1974 maybe.
Right.
Where the first half an hour.
Steve McQueen, wasn't it?
No.
It wasn't?
No. First half an hour of that movie was the build-up, and then the last 50 minutes of the film is just an extended, out-of-control, crazy car chase. And so that was a director that was like, really, I just want to have this car chase movie, and that's all it's going to be. And this movie should have been along the same thing. You've got your 20 minutes of setup. Oh, my child is lost in the woods. I've got to go to the woods. Oh, our cocaine got dumped in the woods. We're drug dealers. We got to go find it.
Right.
We're all converging there, and the rest of the film
that
from
is
that
the
point
setup.
on is just
would take 5 minutes.
Crazy. Right, just crazy, bear, out of control action, and you would have had an amazing film.
Amazing.
I still really, really, really enjoyed Cocaine Bear, and I'm certainly recommending it, but the potential for an amazing film that would live for all time was sitting right in front of their face.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I took my kids to see this movie. My 15-year-old, he, seen the previews, and how could you not want to watch Cocaine Bear if you're a teenager, teenage boy? You got to watch it. Yeah, so even my younger kid, we took him, and they all liked it.
Well, and they're now legends on the playground, right?
Oh, yeah, they just saw Cocaine Bear.
It's like, my dad's the coolest ever. Took me to Cocaine Bear.
Right.
Gene, anything more to talk about Cocaine Bear?
I don't know. I kind of think we talked it out. There's no plot.
There's no underlying social
There's no
commentary.
deep message. No, there are no themes to societal conflicts here. But yeah. So, but I would recommend it. It is fun. Parts of it with the bear are really cool. And I would give it
Yeah, and I'm thinking the 90-minute runtime was really smart.
Right, not too long, right?
And you could have even made it shorter.
Could have made it short. I agree. I totally agree.
And so I think if you're looking for just a movie to go to and just have a good time at and not have to have any big political discussions afterwards or anything like that, Cocaine Bear is the film for you for sure.
Exactly.
Gene, any thoughts on what we're doing next week?
Well, I don't know. We keep going. We're kind of like all over the place.
I know. We keep telling people stuff and then we don't do it.
I know. We said we're gonna watch some like deep horror psychological thriller thing, but then we don't do it. We watch Cocaine Bear.
Okay, so we'll just end it that way then. We will be doing something next week.
Yeah.
And go out and see Cocaine Bear. It's worth your money.
Oh, yeah, it's definitely worth it. Get some popcorn.
Yeah.
Big sugary soda. Have a good time.
All right, we'll catch you the next time. Bye-bye.
Bye.